So recently I made a video where I talked about the 15 worst draft picks in the NBA right now from the last 5 drafts dating back till 2020. So today we're going to be doing the opposite of that. We're going to be way more positive. I'm going to be talking about the 15 best draft picks from the last few drafts. I'm not going to have anything from 2024 yet, but I would say the 3 best draft picks from that class so far. You have to talk about Stephon Castle, the Rookie of the Year winner, falling to pick number 4. Jared McCain definitely could have won Rookie of the Year if he didn't get hurt. He went at pick number 16. Got to give some love to Philadelphia there. And definitely Jaylen Williams, who was the 39th overall pick in the NBA draft and was on all rookie first team. I'm also excluding any undrafted guys in this video. So no Austin Reeves, no Justin Edwards. So we'll kick things off with one of the best players currently playing in the NBA Finals, Tyrese Haliburton of the Indiana Pacers. And Tyrese Haliburton wasn't drafted by the Pacers, obviously. He was drafted by the Sacramento Kings with the 12th overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft, a class that has aged very well since it wasn't looked at as a strong draft class leading up to it, given that the COVID college season was canceled a couple months prior. And it was shocking that Tyrese Haliburton fell to number 12. A lot of people, including me, thought he should have went in the top 5 at that time. And you looked at teams that needed a point guard that passed up on him, teams like the Knicks, the Suns, and the Spurs, and the Kings, who didn't really need a point guard at the time, still took the best player available, and it was 100% worth it. At 25 years old, Tyrese Haliburton is a 2-time All-Star, a 2-time All-NBA member. He was the assist champion in 2024. He was on an all-rookie team from that class, given that he was 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting, and he's turned into one of the best pure point guards in the NBA since being drafted, and definitely since being traded from the Sacramento Kings. And we've seen how valuable he could be in the playoffs. Last year brought the Indiana Pacers to the conference finals, beating teams like the Milwaukee Bucks and the New York Knicks, and this year beating the Bucks, the 1-seeded Cavs, and the New York Knicks to go to the NBA Finals. And he's had one of the most clutch playoff runs I have ever seen with all the game winners he had, and it is one of the best draft picks in the NBA, not just of the last 5 years, but in this century. Maybe it's something about the number 12 overall pick, because a player that Tyrese Haliburton is playing against in the finals was the 12th overall pick in the 2022 draft and has been phenomenal since being selected out of Santa Clara, and that is Jaylen Williams of the OKC Thunder. Not J-Will, J-Dub. At the time too, a lot of people, including me, thought it was a reach. I was very high on Tyrese Haliburton. I was lower on Jaylen Williams going into the 2022 draft, but he has just proved the critics wrong. As a rookie, he finished 2nd in Rookie of the Year, finishing just behind the number 1 overall pick, Paolo Banchero. And then in 2024, really blossomed into being one of the best co-stars in the NBA to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and fully broke out even more here in 2025. He ended up on an All-NBA team and an All-Defensive team. So you're getting a true two-way star in this league that is going to get a very nice rookie max extension over these next few weeks. And it is funny looking back on Jaylen Williams getting drafted in the 2022 draft, because his current general manager passed up on him twice in that NBA class. We'll stay in this draft class and we'll stay with players that are playing in the NBA Finals. We're going to go back to the Indiana Pacers, and we're going to talk about the 31st overall pick, the first pick in the 2nd round in the 2022 draft, Andrew Nembhard out of Gonzaga to the Indiana Pacers. And this pick wasn't from the Indiana Pacers originally. Back at the 2022 trade deadline, when they made the Domantas Sabonis Tyrese Haliburton trade, they also made another deal that sent away one of their best scorers on their team, Caris LeVert, to the Cleveland Cavaliers in exchange for a protected 1st round pick and a 2nd rounder. And that 2nd rounder ended up being Andrew Nembhard. The first ended up being Ben Shepherd, who's played meaningful minutes during the Pacers 2025 playoff run. And Andrew Nembhard is one of the best co-stars as well in this league on both ends of the floor. He's a great complementary piece around Pascal Siakam and Tyrese Haliburton over there in Indiana. He did have a lackluster regular season when you just look at the surface numbers, but he did get injured earlier in the year. He's an incredible point of attack defender. He can hold his own in the post as well. He's extremely physical on that end of the floor, and also on the offensive end, getting downhill as a scorer. He has that forearm push where it's basically unstoppable for people to guard at times, given Nembhard is around 6'5". He's not super heavy, but man, he could be extremely physical out there. And we know Nembhard as well as a playoff riser in today's NBA. He's going to be making over $20 million a year as a 2nd round pick. Great selection here by Peyton Pritchard and the Indiana Pacers front office. Let's go to a draft class that we haven't talked about yet, the 2021 draft class, which is a loaded one to look back on. And at the time, it was kind of a consensus top 3 in a certain way. Cade Cunningham at number 1, and then the debate of Jalen Green and Evan Mobley at 2 and at 3. And a lot of people expected either Jalen Suggs or Jonathan Kuminga to be the next few picks off the board, but Masai Ujiri got his guy instead, and that's what makes it super impressive to this day, taking Scotty Barnes with the 4th overall pick. He was a late draft riser that was a terrible shooter in college, so there was a massive risk when Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster took Scotty Barnes over hyped up prospects like Jalen Suggs, who did it at Gonzaga, and Jonathan Kuminga, who had that high school pedigree and all the athleticism coming out of the G League Ignite, and they were 100% right. And I think this makes it one of the more impressive picks in this draft, going against the norm, taking a risk to get your guy. And Scotty Barnes looks like he could definitely be more of a long-term building block than those guys who are also good players, but Scotty Barnes is in another tier in my opinion. He won Rookie of the Year from this class, beating out Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley that year. He did have a little bit of a down year number 2, but was an all-star in year number 3. He did struggle this year in year number 4 with injuries, appearing in 65 games, and the efficiency took a hit as well. And Scotty hasn't really been a great three-point shooter in the league, but the fact they got that 34% season out of him back in 2024 makes me think he can improve on the 27% from 3 he shot this year, but he could be a true point forward. He's an incredible defender, and like I said a little bit ago, I think this is one of the more impressive picks that I'm going to talk about in this video. And honestly, what's in a similar vibe in the 2023 draft is Brandon Miller, number 2 to the Charlotte Hornets. A lot of people, a lot of analysts, a lot of scouts said that the Charlotte Hornets should take Scoot Henderson over Brandon Miller. And to be honest with you, I said that as well. I say you take the best player available. I compared it a ton to Tyrese Haliburton and De'Aaron Fox when the Kings took him with the 12th overall pick back in 2020, and you worry about that issue later. But the Hornets ended up taking Brandon Miller, which I disagreed with at the time, and there's a reason why I'm not in the front office. They made the right pick there, given Brandon Miller's ball handling ability with his size, his downhill scoring, his mid-range shooting. This looks like a very good pick so far. You could say now, after year number 2 in their careers, Amen Thompson would have been a better pick here, but honestly, I still think that Brandon Miller is a long-term building block in this league. He was banged up a ton this year in year number 2, but I think he's still a 3-level scorer in this league. He's a plus defender. He's 6'9", still just 22 years old. I want to give the Hornets some credit. I know I kind of dunked on them with the James Bouknight pick, Kai Jones, and maybe even T.J. Salon in the past, but I do believe they made a very nice selection here, maybe if it wasn't the most popular pick at the time. We'll go back to the 2020 draft, where we're going to talk about another guard, and that was the 21st overall pick in this draft by the Philadelphia 76ers, Tyrese Maxey. What a steal they got here at pick number 21. Definitely should have went a lot higher. And I was higher on Tyrese Maxey as well in that 2020 NBA draft, so I thought it was a little bit shocking that he fell outside the top 20. I thought he was definitely going to be picked in the teens, and this has been a phenomenal pick value-wise in this draft. He was your most improved player in 2024, where he averaged 26 points, 6 assists, 3.5 rebounds, and shot 37% from 3. And he had one of the more impressive playoff games with their backs against the wall in round number 1 against the Knicks in the 2024 playoffs, where the Sixers were down by 6 points late in the game, and Maxey had a 4-point play over Mitchell Robinson and knocked down the game-tying 3 to send it to overtime, in which they won 112-106 to avoid defeat. It felt like it was a superstar-making performance for Tyrese Maxey. Maybe he's not in that superstar tier anymore, given the efficiency that took a hit in 2025 with no Joel Embiid for most of the regular season. It's still a phenomenal draft pick by Daryl Morey in that 76ers front office, and it really saved their future as well, given how Ben Simmons and James Harden really didn't work out for them in the long term. And we'll stay in that 2020 draft as well. Somebody that went 5 picks after Tyrese Maxey was in the same division, in the Atlantic Division, but to the Boston Celtics, and they selected Peyton Pritchard, a small guard out of Oregon, and this has also been a phenomenal pick. Not sure if the Celtics win the 2024 NBA Finals without Peyton Pritchard. He won 6th Man of the Year this season, averaging 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3.5 assists, shot 47% from the field, 40% from 3, 84% from the free throw line. He's under one of the best contracts in the NBA as well. It actually might be dollar for dollar the best contract in the NBA right now. At 27 years old, he's a great bench scorer, but you can also start him in a pinch, and like a game this year with Derek White, he could drop 40 points when you need him to. And that was the second pick that we're going to talk about in the 20s from that 2020 draft. We still got 2 more to go that we'll get to a little bit later. All right, so I'm going to talk about the 16th overall pick from the 2021 draft, somebody that was a Turkish MVP in that league coming into this year's draft class, Alperen Şengün by the Houston Rockets. They had the 2nd overall pick in this draft, and they took somebody better with a pick 14 picks later. Şengün flashed a ton of offensive potential in year number 1 for a very disappointing Rockets team. But then when Ime Udoka took over the team in 2024, Şengün broke out on both ends, 21 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 53% from the field, and took strides on the defensive end as well. He picked up where he left off, even after getting injured late in that 2024 season, to be an all-star in 2025. And you could say he was the best player on a team that was a 2 seed in a loaded Western Conference this year. And somebody that went 11 picks after Alperen Şengün was one of the big slides in the 2021 draft. He was an absolute flamethrower scorer out of LSU in that 2021 class, Cam Thomas. The Nets took him at number 27, and this is a great value for somebody that averaged 22.5 points in the 2024 season, where he played 66 games, and averaged averaged 24 points in the 2025 season where he played 25 games. And I don't think Cam Thomas is a great defender or a great playmaker, but he's a very good scorer, and you're getting somebody that can average 20 points per game on all-right efficiency in the modern NBA with the 27th overall pick. I have to mention you in this video. I want to name 2 second-round picks from that 2021 class. At number 35, the Pelicans selected Herb Jones, a senior out of Alabama, somebody that ended up on all defensive first team in the 2024 season and finished 5th in Defensive Player of the Year voting in year number 3 of his career, where he averaged 11 points, 3.5 rebounds, and shot 41% from 3. The Pelicans did a great job developing his shot over there in Louisiana. He did have an injury-riddled 2025 season where he did get an extension and is now making over $10 million in this league, but he's one of the best 3-and-D assets to have. He's an incredible perimeter defender, post defender. He can move extremely well laterally, and you're getting extreme bang for your buck with the 35th overall pick. Oh yeah, we got one more player that's appearing in the 2025 finals. Sam Presti did it again with the 55th overall pick in the 2021 draft. He selected the man that saved basketball, Aaron Wiggins, out of Maryland. Aaron Wiggins had 50 appearances as a rookie in 2022 for a not-so-good OKC Thunder team, but he actually looked like a very crafty scorer for somebody that was the 55th overall pick, 6'6", but very shifty getting downhill and finishing at the rim. In 2023, he ended up starting 14 games, appearing in 70. The efficiency went up that season. In 2024, he appeared in 78 games and looked like a solid bench scorer, but shot 49% from 3. And then Sam Presti locked up his guy to an absolute steal of a contract going forward. $10 million this year in 2025, and it goes down every single year. We're in 2029. 4 more years from now, he's going to be making $7.9 million, which is going to be less than 3% of the team's total cap space, and he broke out fully in 2025, which is just unreal value that you don't normally see for the 55th overall pick in the NBA draft. And the last pick we're going to talk about from the 2023 class went number 52, and he was actually traded and broke out for a different team, and that is Toumani Camara out of Dayton. A lot of people forget, but Toumani Camara played at Georgia with Anthony Edwards in that 2020 season, and then before he debuted in the NBA, was included in that DeAndre Ayton, Yusuf Nurkic trade, and really showed great defensive flashes as a rookie. And Chauncey Billups had no choice but to start Toumani Camara. Played 49 games in the starting lineup as a second-round pick rookie. Somebody that went 52nd overall, started 49 games. That is incredible, and then broke out even more here in 2025. Averaged 11 points, 6 rebounds, shot 37% from 3, and all defensive second team as a sophomore at 24 years old. One of the best decisions Joe Cronin has done in that Portland Trailblazers front office. All right, so let's go back to the 2020 draft class where I said that there was going to be 2 more guys in the 20s. I could also talk about Emmanuel quickly, but I'm not going to mention him, but hey, he could have definitely made this video. I'm going to go over to the 28th overall pick, Jaden McDaniels, who was technically drafted by the Lakers and then traded to Minnesota on draft night. And the rest is history for Jaden McDaniels in Minnesota. Anthony Edwards was asked, how are you going to respond to Kevin Durant over there in Phoenix? Well, we have Jaden McDaniels, one of the best 3-and-D wings in the league. Has developed so much since being a raw prospect coming out of Washington, and getting Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards in the same draft was an incredible job by Gerson Rosas, who was the main decision maker in Minnesota at that time. And then one of my favorite prospects in that 2020 draft that I don't know how he fell to number 30. Maybe it was the arm length. I don't get it. Desmond Bane out of TCU, selected technically by the Boston Celtics and then traded to the Memphis Grizzlies. One of the best shooting guards in the league, and you got him at pick number 30. So up until this moment, Scottie Barnes has been the highest overall pick that we have talked about, the 4th overall selection in that 2021 draft. And I mentioned when talking about Scottie Barnes, I thought it was very impressive because there was a bunch of different guys they could choose from, and they chose the right guy. So the last player we're going to talk about was the number 1 overall pick in the 2022 NBA draft, Paolo Banchero, because at that time, nobody knew who was going to go number 1. People said it should have been Jabari Smith Jr. People said it should have been Chet Holmgren, and the Orlando Magic made the right decision taking Paolo Banchero number 1 overall. My number 1 prospect at that time was Chet Holmgren, and you really couldn't have gone wrong taking Chet number 1, but imagine they took Jabari Smith Jr. because Paolo Banchero looks like one of the 10 best building blocks to build a team around in the modern NBA, given his size at 6'9", 6'10", his ball handling ability to get downhill as well. And he brought the Orlando Magic to Game 7 against the Cavs in the 2024 playoffs in year number 2 of his career. He had a very physical series against Boston in round number 1 this year. I think he could still be a top 10 player in the NBA very, very soon. He looked incredible before the abdominal injury early in the 2025 season, and I think it is one of the more impressive draft picks, given that nobody really knew who was going to go number 1 overall, and it could have been one of 3 different guys. In my opinion, they chose the right guy. So that's gonna be it for me. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys think about these 15 selections down below. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.